Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lesson 5 of this IELTS listening course, where we will be reviewing some of the strategies and techniques and question types that we have studied in Lessons 1 through 4. A little bit about me. Okay, you guys know most of the basics by now, but a couple new pieces of information. This is my favorite app, Stitcher. Stitcher is my favorite app. It is a podcast listening app. All right. And if you don't listen to podcasts, I recommend it. It is a good way to practice your listening skills, really. Plus just a good way to explore ideas and stories. My favorite podcast is called 99% Invisible. So if you have never heard of podcasts or have never heard of 99% Invisible, I highly recommend them, my favorites. And just as a reminder, we are in Lesson 5 where we will review some different question types here. Now, let's start with a review of our paraphrasing strategy. We studied this, I think, back in Lesson 3 and maybe Lesson 2. I'm forgetting now. But in any case, remember that the first and most obvious thing you can do is to think of any synonyms. Okay? So for example, you have a word like, a word like notebook, right? And you might think of a synonym like paper, okay? Or a pad, a notepad, okay? Would be something similar. All right? Another strategy or another way to think about paraphrasing is to take a specific word like notebook and think of a general category that it belongs to, such as study materials or paper products. Okay? And then you can also think about the opposite way. So you could think about a word like clothing and try to think of words that are more specific, okay, like necktie and baseball cap. All right. So here's another example of that, right? So general nouns, we want to make those more specific. Furniture, tables, chairs, desks. Dangerous materials, chemicals, poisons. Electronic accessories, cellular phones, computers, tablets. And then the opposite way. Specific, think more general. Hairbrush, grooming products. Basketball shoes, sports equipment, clothing items, librarian, school personnel, university staff. All right, that will help kind of open up your mind to more possibilities as you listen. Now we're going to do a little practice, okay? So here are 6 words, and I want you to try to think of some either more specific or more general words that work as paraphrases. So I want you to pause the recording right now and try to write down some ideas and then resume the recording to see my ideas. Okay, so pause the recording now. Okay, here are our answers, or my ideas for answers. Okay, river, that's very specific, so general body of water. Okay, sister, that's specific. We have family member, relative. Online materials, very general, right? So websites, blogs, ebooks. Beverage, general. Something more specific, drink, water, soda, milk. Envelope. Right? Envelope is very specific, so something general, stationery, paper product. Okay, and then audio equipment is general, so something more specific is speaker and a microphone. Okay, as always, when we're paraphrasing, the goal is not to predict the answer. The goal is simply to open your mind to more possibilities. All right. Now, let's review our first question type for this lesson, which is labeling the map. The strategy, remember, is to check the style. Okay, checking the style. And there are 2 types of styles, tours and not tours. Now, when we studied this, we actually looked at a tour type. So today we're going to try to get an example of a not tour type. All right, so remember tour types, we can expect a logical order. Often it's clockwise. And we want to listen for individual words or phrases and watch out for traps. In a not tour type, the information may be scattered. The answers are usually more predictable. And listening skills, we're listening for location words and we're watching out for traps. All right, let's do a practice. And here we have our map question. All right, so I've chosen a map from my own insider materials, and a map that is a not tour type. Okay. So this is the Davis Modern Art Museum. Okay, we're describing what's in the museum, but you will not hear, you will not hear a tour. Okay, so notice the letters kind of go in clockwise order. That means we're not going to follow a clockwise order as we go around, right? It'll have to be kind of random, right? Remember, probably scattered questions. Right? Okay. And here we can see what we're listening for. Picasso Room, Pre-Modern Gallery, Performance Art Venue, and the Miracle of Flight exhibit. Okay. You can obviously tell this is before it was sent to the designer as my working with my own model. So, okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read you the script, and I want you to try to figure out where they are. Remember, use your finger to kind of guide yourself around the map and listen for location words. Okay, think like bottom corner, in the middle, think behind, across from, right, next to. Okay, here we go. All right, well, the museum is not terribly large, but let me give you a quick layout of the museum, specifically where you can find the four most popular exhibits. I recommend starting with the Picasso Room. You really can't miss it since it's straight in front of you as you walk through the front door, just past the information desk. Then I would suggest spending some time in the Pre-Modern Gallery, where you can learn about some of the art movements that led to modernism. You can find it across from the cafe, which is over on the far left wall of the museum. On the other side of the museum is the performance art venue. If you're still here at 2 p.m., you should definitely see the performance there. It's fantastic. From the front door, just head to the right, and you'll see it next to the bathrooms. It's a really huge space, so it's hard to miss. Oh, and don't miss the Miracle of Flight exhibit, which displays art related to flying and early airplane travel. It's tucked away in the corner next to the gift shop. It will only be running for a couple more weeks, so this will likely be your last chance to see it. And here is the script, so let's take a look and see if we got the correct answers here. The first one, you really can't miss it since it's straight in front of you as you walk through the front door just past the information desk. So entrance, across from, past the info desk. The answer there is E. Question 18. You can find it across from the cafe, which is over on the far left wall of the museum. Now, this one can be a little tricky. Okay, across from the cafe. Okay, so we can assume probably C, but then we hear on the far left wall of the museum. That makes me think B, right? But no, the cafe is on the far left wall of the museum. Okay, so be careful there. On the far left wall is describing cafe. You can find it, the Pre-Modern Gallery, across from the cafe. Okay, so C is actually correct. It's a little bit of a trick there. Okay, right here is the trick. Be careful. So 18 is C. On the other side of the museum, okay, is the performance art venue. if you're still here at 2 p.m., you should definitely see the performance there. It's fantastic. From the front door, just head to the right. You'll see it next to the bathrooms. It's a really huge space, so it's hard to miss. Now, next to the bathrooms, we have F and G. Huge space must be G. Okay, F is actually the smallest room in this museum, right? G is maybe not the biggest, but one of the biggest ones. Okay, so G is our answer. And then the Miracle of Flight exhibit, it's tucked away in the corner next to the gift shop. Okay, so we have two corners here. Next to the gift shop must be A. Okay? So, Picasso Room, E. Pre-Modern Gallery, C. Performance Art Venue, G. And Miracle of Flight exhibit, A. So you can see that they are scattered, right? I think actually number 19 reminded me of the other map one that we did. We started from the entrance and went to the right, right? And E was a little bit that way, starting like from the entrance, right? But definitely C and A were not tour-like at all. And we needed to listen closely for the across from or in the corner next to. Those location words turned out to be the most essential ones. All right. Okay. Now let's move on. Multiple choice is our next topic. And remember that when we're preparing for a multiple choice question, we want to, as much as possible, find the keywords, write possible paraphrases, and keep in mind that when you're underlining keywords, we're looking at the question stem primarily. Not the answer choices, but the question stem. You're not going to have time to underline keywords in all of the answer, or the question, sorry, the answer choices. But the question stem, you should have enough time. Okay, that's much more important, the question stem. And then while listening, you can watch out for before and after traps. Keep an eye on the next question and do not fall behind so as to not panic. Now, one last piece of advice about multiple choice in terms of traps. If the question set is short, okay, in other words, just 3 or maybe 4 questions, expect there will be 2 traps for each question. Okay, so you have 3 answer choices. Expect that the speaker is going to mention all 3 of them. 1 is going to be correct, 2 are going to be traps. However, if the question set is long, right, maybe you've got 7 questions, okay, expect that some of the answers may not have traps. Okay? There's just not enough time. Okay? It takes some time in the dialogue to set up multiple traps. So if you've got 7 multiple choice questions, the writer just doesn't have enough space to make traps for all of them. It's very difficult. So typically 1 or 2 of the questions will be quick with no traps, or with maybe just 1 trap. All right? So let's do a practice example. And here we go. So this is our multiple choice question set we're looking at. Again, we're looking at a set that comes from my own insider materials, okay, something that you will not see in the Cambridge books. All right. And you can see questions 21 through 23. So we are looking at a section 3 example. All right. I don't think we've had many section 3 examples in this course, so I decided to pick one that would be relatively new for us. Okay. And it's a short question set as well, so we can practice our strategy and not spend a whole hour on it. Now, the first thing we want to do is to find the keywords. Remember, we're looking at the question stem primarily. Okay? there's a high probability that you're not going to have enough time to look at the the answer choices before the listening begins. So focus on the stem. Okay? Now, keywords, why? So we're looking for the purpose and written responses. Why written responses? Why not spoken? Why not, dance responses? Why written responses? That's the question. Here we've got how. How did they choose the participants? Okay. And then what was surprising? All right. When you've got these question types, okay, it's a full question here. These words are going to be important. Why, how, and what. All right. In terms of paraphrasing, we've got the word written, so we can imagine writing, pen and paper, pencil, paper, anything like that. Choose, a similar word would be select. Participants, well, maybe the word participate, people to participate, something like that. Join the study, perhaps. And then what was surprising, shocking, what surprised the students, what was unexpected. Okay. So if you have those ideas, write them down. Okay. Don't be shy to kind of write them out. But remember, the most important thing is to just open your mind to the possibilities, right? So that when you're listening, you're not only listening for this phrase, written responses, because it's very possible that the writer will change that slightly in the script. Okay, so I think we are ready to go. Let's see if we can answer these questions. I will read out the script for you. Now, this is a conversation between a student and a professor. Okay, so I'm going to have to do two different voices here. I will try to make the professor sound more like a woman, and the student will be a man. I'll do my best. Okay, I'll start from the very beginning here. Here we go. Good morning, Professor. Oh, hello. I didn't see you come in. Please have a seat. Thank you. I'd like to talk with you about my research project if you have time. Of course. What is the topic of your project? Well, I'm interested in people's attitudes toward physical education class. Specifically, I am exploring how people think about physical education class, also known as PE, when they are required to take it in high school. Oh, that's an interesting subject. Fewer and fewer schools are requiring PE these days. How did you design the study? Well, I considered doing face-to-face interviews because the participants might feel more relaxed, but in the end, I decided to ask for written responses to my questions. I was initially concerned that it might take too much time, but I thought the respondents might be more honest if they could put their thoughts on paper. I see. And how did you gather your respondents? I wanted to find respondents that were required to take PE for at least 2 years in high school. At first, I was calling random households by telephone, but I encountered a lot of suspicion and struggled to get adequate information. I think I'd have better luck just stopping random people on the street. I finally had to change my approach and compose a short survey, which I handed out to university classrooms and businesses. Switching to that method saved me a lot of time in the end. That was a good idea. Have you had time to analyze the data yet? Yes, and I was really surprised by how strongly people felt about this topic, regardless of their backgrounds. There were so many positive opinions and negative opinions, and hardly anyone had a neutral opinion on the subject. Okay, that's the end of the script. If you need to listen to it again, go ahead, but I encourage you to check your answers first. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the script next. All right, so let's take a look here. The questions start here. Remember, we're listening for written responses and why. Okay, so notice the traps here. I consider doing face-to-face interviews because they might feel more relaxed. So the word relaxing, but no, this is about face-to-face interviews, right? Face-to-face interviews. I was initially concerned that it might take too much time. So actually, I was concerned about that, but I thought the respondents might be more honest if they could put their thoughts on paper. So A is the correct answer there. Okay, but notice those traps. Those are tricky. 22, we also get some traps. Okay, so how did the students choose the participants? Sorry, how did the student choose the participants? At first, I was calling random households by telephone. Okay, so C is a trap, but I encountered a lot of suspicion. I think I'd have had better luck just stopping random people on the street. Okay, random people, public area, but this is actually a kind of joke here. I would have had better luck stopping people on the street. So the student there is kind of making a joke to the professor, saying the telephone interviews were so unsuccessful that even just a street interview would be better. So in the end, I finally had to change my approach and compose a short survey, which I handed out to university classrooms and businesses. So that matches B, students and workers. And notice there is some paraphrasing there, but it's something we need to think about in the moment. Okay, there's no chance to prepare for that. There's not enough time. Okay, and then 23, what was surprising about the results? Here's surprised. I was really surprised by how strongly people felt about the topic. How strongly people felt. People did not feel strongly? No. It says, regardless of people's backgrounds. So that's the opposite of this meaning, right? That opinions about PE class varied. No. Regardless, it didn't matter. Their background was not important, right? But people felt strongly. There were so many positive and negative opinions, and hardly anyone had a neutral opinion on the subject. Hardly anyone. Few. Okay, so a couple of little tricky bits of language there. Okay, but generally the meaning should have been very clear there, that A is correct. Okay. All right. Good. Let's move on to the next question type then. Final question type that we're going to cover today is not review, but something new. Short answer. And short answer I decided to do last because there's really not anything crazy or fancy you can do to prepare for it. It's very typical and very similar to the fill in the blank question. Okay, so it's a nice one for us to finish with. To prepare, the typical things: underline the keywords, write possible paraphrases, and predict part of speech. While listening, keep an eye on the next question, don't fall behind, and don't panic. Okay, this is our standard advice. The short answer question, there's nothing tricky here. You just need to listen carefully and answer it. Okay? All right. With that in mind, let's do our final practice for this course. And our last question set is nice and short. Just 2 questions. Short answer question sets are rarely longer than 2 or 3 questions. In fact, I think 2 might even be the longest I've ever seen one. Because listening for short answers is really difficult. Okay, you're listening for actual words or numbers that really appear in the script. Okay, so it takes a lot of concentration to find just that one. Luckily, the way the questions are set up, you can kind of predict what you're going to hear. Look at number 19. How often do the top bus company tours run? Okay, so is it every day, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, twice a day, 3 times a day? Okay, it's going to be some sort of frequency adverb or frequency expression. Okay, so pretty easy to predict. And then number 20, where can you catch a number 1 sightseeing tour from? Okay, so from the bus stop, from the, from the post office, from the train station, okay, from the visitor center. Okay, we're listening for some kind of landmark, some sort of city landmark. All right. Okay, so I'm going to read the script for you, and I want you to listen closely, okay? Here we go. Besides the boat tours, there are city buses. 2 companies offer special services. The top bus company runs all its tours with a live commentary in English. Tours leave from 8:30 a.m. every 20 minutes. There are departures from Central Station, Castle Hill, and Long Walk. This is a hop-on, hop-off service, and tickets are valid for 24 hours. For further details, call Top Bus on 0208-944-7810. The number 1 sightseeing tour is available with a commentary in 8 languages. Buses depart from Central Station every 5 to 6 minutes from about 9 a.m., with the last bus at around 7 p.m. There are also number 1 services with an English-speaking... All right, that's the end of our script. Let's go ahead and check our answers. The answers are not very complicated. You're not going to hear any traps, okay? This is a difficult question type, so it's going to be pretty simple. From 8:30 a.m., every 20 minutes. Every 20 minutes. 3 words, right? Or 3 words and or numbers. Okay, and then number 20, buses depart from Central Station. Central Station. That's our answer. And again, no real traps there, okay? So you're not going to have to worry about traps for these types. All right. And we're going to finish with that, a nice simple one to finish, okay? With all the complicated question types that we covered, I think it's good to finish with an easy one. So I hope you've enjoyed this course. And if you're interested in any of my other courses, please let me know or let my assistant know, and we'll get you signed up. If you have any questions, be sure to pass those along through my assistant or find a way to contact me as well. All right. Thank you guys very much for coming to my course. It feels weird that I've never seen you before, but I feel like we've been through a long journey together. Okay. Good luck on your test, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.